Whereas what I have seen during appraisals with men, and going back to some of the things we're just hearing, they're very structured demands which come out. So you know that they have a plan for 2 years or 3 years and how they fit into the organizational goals. So the approach between men and women at that time, what I have seen year on year is actually markedly different. Yeah, so that's my thing. Thank you.
You want to add something?
I think personally I don't have to go through that, but when we do the appraisals, as Monamita has said, I think girls who are young, not married, they would say like, we are just working till we get married, and then, the future would depend on what our family wants. So they're not very career oriented. And if you have married women, they are there just to support the family. They don't have much career goals. They're there just to take care of the financial needs. So, but men, yes, they are structured. They know, yes, this is what we want to be 5 years from now. This position we want. This is what we want.
But
so there is a difference in approach.
Yeah. Thank you. So you actively engage with such interactions and discussions with your female staff as well, and also ask them to define their career objectives, so which is very good to know. Okay. We all know women can wear many hats. They are fantastic at multitasking. So this is wearing many hats is often regular occurrence in women's life. They often balance careers, households, and even aging parents, most of us, and amongst other things. So how did you manage your work-life balance while moving on to the positions which you were moving on to and taking these leading positions? I mean, whether we like it or not like it, we are biologically supposed to be doing what we do and produce babies. And it is nobody's fault and not a man's fault to say that we can do it, yeah? But it does take a little bit of backstep as well. We really put our careers on the side as well. But at the same time, the position where you are today, for example, Nizit, how did you manage the work-life balance? Though you all made one statement, you had fantastic partners, who supported this move of yours. So we're not complaining men, we're saying we are together, and together we make the success stories we do. So Nizet.
Yeah, I was certainly have a great partner, where we both, when we got married, believed that we were there to love each other and also to support each other in the choices we want to make in life. Where my husband had the ambition to start his own company, be flexible with his time and focus on things he felt very passionate about. And I thrive in a more corporate environment, so that when the children were born, for us it was still logic that he would continue with his own business, which also made him more flexible time-wise, and I would stay where I was. And you can't do it on your own, so it's real partnership between us. Sometimes he has to give a little bit more than he would probably want to, and sometimes it's the other way around. For me, it's also very good to have somebody at home that keeps questioning if I really need to do this for work or should I just stay home. And often he has a fair point, because you tend to, when you're passionate about your work, which I certainly are, you tend to believe you need to be everywhere, you should do everything, and it's very difficult to say no. So then it's good that you have somebody at home that asks those questions to make sure that you keep the balance in check. And I think so far, happy children, happy husband, I assume, and I'm also very happy, so it
and
works out.
And happy employers.
I think so. Yeah.
Very good. Monamita.
So, of course, we've all spoken about the partnership, but in our cases in India, we have the benefit of having support at home. So we did have support in, we had staff working, and my husband worked out of the house, so that was a great thing. And here is something that I want to bring in, which not directly pertinent to the point, but when we hire, the way we hire in KW conferences, I'm also hiring women sometimes directly, mothers who've taken time off. There's an organization called Sheroes, from Heroes, Sheroes. So we get staff from there. You have excellent talent available, and the only thing is many of them need flexible hours. So how do we work around that? So it's all actually a partnership, whether it's at home, whether it's work, it's a lot of give and take on both sides.
Yes, an excellent support system. The parents and my in-laws, my husband. But, and being an entrepreneur, I had the time flexibility also. I could go late, come back early as and when required. But I feel in the corporate culture, to encourage women, what is necessary is flexibility. If women are given flexibility, they can do wonders. That's the only thing that's a very important barrier which stops many capable women from coming forward, because not all are as lucky as we are.
True. We are a lucky group here. Katrina.
Definitely it's the support system, but I think I would say that it's a lot about time management. You need to know what you want to actually achieve in the next 1 week. I work in my company, 90% of us are women. And that is quite an unusual mix in a way, but basically you need to kind of know how to respect as well as someone who is managing the team, because mainly, you know, you're working with someone who has also children, for example, and so you can't expect them to answer Saturdays or Sundays as well as after hours, because they do have to take care with their family. And so you as a person, or you who are managing the team, needs to know what are the things that you require from this person at the beginning of the week so that they could also plan things. We do know that we're in an events company, and sometimes there's a lot of turnaround that needs to be done 24 hours, for example. And these are things that you just need to manage at the same time. Basically, if the event is going, it's coming soon, for example, it is expected that at least you have to have a turnaround very fast. And I think this is just something that you also have to have conversation with your staff in a way that, from this week to this week, I think we might require a little bit more extra time. Is it fine? And so they can also manage their own time, as well as they can also manage their spouses or their children that, I will be a bit late at this time. So I think it's a lot more of conversation as well that is necessary.
Yeah. I think conversations are very important. So there's one main, not main, but in my view, one of the main reasons for sometimes for this uneven management sex ratio or gender ratio is our inability to differentiate or discern between confidence and competence. That is because we commonly misinterpret the display of confidence as a sign of competence. And this lack of confidence sometimes makes us believe that women can't make better leaders. In other words, when it comes to leadership, charisma or confidence are commonly mistaken for leadership potential, and that these are unfortunately exhibited more by you gentlemen and less by you women. So how did you manage that in your own spheres? Did you ooze out more confidence to make your management believe that you were worth it, or you waited for you to be recognized as the most competent woman? I know, for 10 years, I never went back to my management to ask them for a salary hike. I was very, very happy with what I was doing, and maybe they even thought that I wasn't confident enough, yeah? Or maybe I wasn't competent enough, though they knew I was competent. But what I'm trying to ask you is, what did you do in your sphere? I mean, what did you do to make the management be convinced about it? Because most of us do not do that. And then we land up acquiring people who showed a lot of confidence when they walked in for the interviews, yeah? Irrespective of whether they were competent or not. It was only after maybe some time we realized, yeah, was it the confidence or the competence? Katrina.
I mean, in my case, I would always just make sure that I know exactly what is my value in the company. And if I could see that I am doing better than my peers, I think this gives us confidence in terms of asking for a salary increase. Can I actually move on and take over this team? Or maybe perhaps it's also expectation management. So you know exactly what is your value in the company. And at the same time, you also need to realize that you should also ask about, okay, what can I have, or can I have more, for example? So I think it's a delicate balance between you have to, of course, prove your competence first, but at the same time, you also need to be confident about when you can ask and when you should ask, the moment you know that you actually have the competence to actually do the job, or maybe perhaps an opening that comes up, for example. It's a matter of doing both, actually.
Thank you. Monamita?
Competence and confidence. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, it's, in industry associations, in several industry associations, it's a boys' club out there. Again, I'm not a feminist, but it is a boys' club out there. And one of the reasons is women do not really go out networking. You know, how many women in this room, particularly Indian women, would invite another gentleman, just say, hey, come out for a drink. It's done. It's done all over the world. But here we don't do it. Because there's some cultural, many of us don't do it, let's say. There are some cultural barriers to doing it. So, there is, so the competence then has to come out, because that whole networking piece doesn't come out. And yes, as Sonia rightly mentioned, at interviews, very often one gets taken up or carried away by the confidence somebody displays and the charisma that comes through at interviews or several rounds of interviews when you haven't had the opportunity of working with somebody. So the competence is not demonstrated at that time. You don't have an understanding. So we do get carried away. I know I have been carried away several times by charisma and confidence, and 4, 5, 6 months down the line, you realize, hey, that was a mistake.
Yeah. Himani?
I think within our industry, it is not much of a, I think rather within our organization, it is not much of a problem, competence and confidence. But if we
I'm talking in particular, of course, we're talking about women here.
Yeah, but if you talk about, you organize exhibitions for various verticals, certain industries, it's very okay for women to be, going out and talking to men there. But certain industries, they are male dominated. So if a woman goes out, so, men there are not very comfortable. So there are barriers in terms of negotiating business with those industry sectors. I think that is one barrier which exists because of the gender thing.
Nizit, last comment from you.
I find it a difficult question. So I think the networking probably yes. Speaking for myself, I'm an extrovert person. So then it's also, I don't think I've been passed because people are not seeing me, because I'm often out there. I don't know if I always had the skill set yet. Actually, I knew I didn't, but then I always had sponsors of people that thought that I could do it. And I think that's what you need actually to get anywhere. You need to have people within your company or outside your company who believe in you and believe that you might, that you will do a good job. And then in my case, they also actively help me with acquiring the skills I didn't have yet, or giving advice on how to grow. And I'm interested in learning new things. So then it's a good match. If you're keen on developing yourself and you have somebody sponsoring you and that, then you can't really go wrong.
Thank you. Because I had problems in my team when I knew the women were very competent, but they lacked confidence to say, really, can I really do it? So what we need to do is to give them this extra ounce of confidence, so to say. So there was a point in my career when I had only female team members, and also in leading positions. And I was encouraged by my CEOs, by my management, on advancing gender equality, because it's right, it's necessary, it's imperative, and it is my responsibility. And when I look at my company right now in Nürnberg Messe India, I think I did try to create an equal balance, because what to do? I had only women in my team, but it was important that I create a balance here. So, how is it in your organizations? I mean, what is the ratio of men to women, and especially in this exhibition industry? Monamita.
We, as I mentioned, we are about 50-50. There were many more women, but now we are about 50-50. So, yeah.
We're around 35 to 40% women, around 60% men, but it's all based on competence, nothing done on purpose. Because I think for certain positions like operations or IT, more men opt for it, and other areas, women opt, like editorial and such positions, women opt. So based on that, it's around 35, 40, and 60.
Okay, when it comes to operations, very good point. You know, most of the times we think only men can handle operations, but I know we did handle Nizet. You are in the operations business, you know. How do you manage to convince that you can do it, you know?
Well, I think if we stay in stereotypes, then women are very good organizers, and operations is all about having your operations and your ducks in a row. So there would be no reason why women could not do that. I think speaking for Schenker, there's definitely more men than females. That has more to do with what you also said, the interest of that there's just more men into logistics. I think Team India there at the back, it's about 40% females and 60% men. Any women is welcome to step up, is my experience here. So yeah, it's diverse teams, and Schenker, as I said, in general is really trying to diverse the teams.
Would you be perceived as a feminist in your operations department or in the business you are if you were to encourage more women in the business?
Well, not within my company, because this is something that we believe in. And if it would be the other way around, I've also worked in teams where there were all females, which I actively tried to get more males in. And to a point that I asked my husband to help me with drawing up vacancies texts, because I just had people, females replying to the vacancies, and I thought, okay, I'm doing something wrong. So he helped me change the language of what the requirements were, and all of a sudden men started applying, which was so that for me was an eye-opener, and I'm sure it's the other way as well, around as well. So it's really simple things that you can do to get that balanced team. So for me, it's not about getting more females in. In my line of industry, it is females. If it would be the other way around, where we are all females, then I would actively try to get more males. I strongly believe in diversity.
Very good. And Katrina, you already said you have 90% women. Are you averse to men or what?
No. We hire according to capabilities. It just so happens that in my team, it's mainly women, but in other companies as well, we've seen that, in some of the exhibition companies, it's mostly women, but the bosses are actually the men. Yeah, and based on my experience, I have not dealt with any man as my operations head, which is quite unusual, but it's actually unique in a way.
Yeah, it is true that even in Germany, I mean, because I work closely with the German trade fair companies, you have many women, the majority is probably women in the company structure. However, unfortunately, I've not seen one single woman heading a German trade fair company. So probably there's a message to go that, they are working behind the curtains, but at the same time, we need them in the leading positions as well. So there has to be an extra ounce of confidence given to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know we all are looking forward to lunch, but I made it clear, no lunch without this session. So, there's no denying that women's path to leadership position is paved with many barriers, including a very thick glass ceiling sometimes. I wouldn't say all the times. I don't want to generalize the statement. Women trying to rise up to leadership face sometimes cultural and systematic manipulated hurdles that make it harder for them to advance, such as unconscious bias. But for me personally, it is very important to mention that women check their egos. I don't want to sound a feminist. Egos often get in the way of good decision making in the boardrooms and the C-suites. Women exhibit ego differently, and they are good at decision making with ego held in check. And this is a key advantage of working with board of directors, partners, and customers. So one last statement from each one of you, coming back to the title of the panel, how did you make it in this industry as women leaders? Himani.
A very good supportive system. And I'm looking forward to more leadership forums in the future rather than women leadership forums. That's what I would say. I want to see the future like that.
Yes, so one has really grown into it. Well, I didn't come in with any, leadership background. It's something that one has picked up, has learned, has developed along the way. And one thing I want to say, next time, if there is a woman's leadership, we need to have more men on it. Just, so that there's two-way dialogue happening there.
EC, please note it, huh?
To me, it's a combination of two things. First, be passionate about what you do. Go in, when you go in 100% or 110%, and make sure there's some support to help you develop to the speed that you need to make the next step.
Katrina?
Know exactly what you want to achieve, and once in a while, be ready to actually make sacrifices for it.
Great. I must admit, in my career, I had some wonderful male mentors who actually encouraged me to get where I am today. So I've been in the industry for about 23 years now, and to be honest, all my gurus, so to say, were men. So sometimes they actually put me against the wall, not because I didn't have the competence, but I didn't have the confidence. Yeah? They all knew I was competent, but they wanted to give me this confidence. So I'm very thankful to them that they did realize the potential in me and made sure that I am where I am today. So it's a message to all the men in this room, in the trade fair industry, in the exhibition industry, in the conference business. Please do encourage and do not get completely deterred by the challenges they might have, or be convinced they're competent enough, and give them a chance to come to the leadership positions, and especially also in the freight forwarding. Yeah? I want them also to be seen more on site, and also to be sent for international programs as well. Okay? So give them that exposure, give them that confidence, and on that note, happy men and women relationship. Together we make what we make. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The lunch is yours, and the rest of the afternoon or evening is also yours, but we have to make sure that we're sitting through the rest of the sessions as well. So enjoy the lunch, please. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much for moderating this session for all of us. What a great talk by the powerful and power ladies here on the stage. And now I would like to invite Mr. Bhupendra Singh to join us to felicitate this wonderful set of panelists here. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr.
Sorry,
Bhupendra
I did not
Singh.
give you time for any question-answer sessions because I wanted to do it over lunch. Let's see who survives us, okay?
I would request Mr. Singh to present.
Before that, can we have a big round of applause for this wonderful session right before lunch? I think they all are strong-headed, wonderful women, and for your next panel, Monomita, count me in. I'm going to be sitting there and adding to the panel, but a panel discussion right before lunch has never been this interesting. You people have stolen the day. So all the best, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, Mr. Singh, I would request you to now present a memento to Ms. Sonia Prashar for leading the talk, for agreeing to be the moderator for this wonderful panel. Thank you very much. We would like to present mementos to our panelists now. Ms. Himani Gulati, Director, MEX Exhibitions Private Limited. Thank you for joining us. Ms. Monimita Sarkar, Managing Director for KW Conferences. Thank you for joining us. Ms. Nisit Boyrekta, Director, APAC Fair Events and Special Logistics, Shankar, India. And lastly, Ms. Katrina, Managing Director for Messe Berlin.
Just one request. Can I ask all the women here who were not part of the panel to just come on the stage here for one group picture, please? So, starting with our ED of IEIA. Aparna. Lakshmi. Naziba. And all our foreign delegates, please. I mean, our guests. I'm only inviting the ladies right now.
So that is the women power at the IEIA Open Seminar
I didn't realize that we have actually more women in the exhibition industry than the men, which is good. Cheers.
The women power at the India Exhibition Industry Association Open Seminar 2019, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, ladies, and thank you to our esteemed panelists for putting up such a great talk, for encouraging many of us through their thoughts and statements. Thank you very much, ladies. Now we will be an important announcement before we all break out for lunch. To our delegates, all of you present here, please make a note that we have organized the tours to Taj Mahal and Delhi for all of you for tomorrow morning, which are scheduled at some early hour in the morning. Please do get in touch with the IEI staff here, present here at the console area or outside. Please do get in touch with them. They will be telling you more and details about what is the depart time and how that tour to Taj Mahal and Delhi will happen. So please do get in touch with the IEIA staff for tomorrow morning tour to Taj Mahal and Delhi. Thank you very much with this, ladies and gentlemen. See us on the other side. For now, we break for lunch. Thank you. And I request you all to kindly be back inside the hall by 3 p.m. sharp. Let's stick to the timelines. We have flights to be taken by many of the delegates. So please do adhere to the timelines. 3 o'clock, we meet back in the hall. Thank you. To kindly join us inside for the next sessions. Thank you. May I request all of you to kindly take your seats? Good afternoon and welcome again to the IEIA Open Seminar 2019, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are heading on to a presentation that is going to be talking about why to audit and certify trade shows by Mr. Antonio Brito from International Exhibitions and Events Consultant, UFI Certified Auditor, member of IEIA Board of Directors. Antonio Brito was born in Portugal, started his activity in trade show industry almost 25 years ago. He directed and organized more than 50 trade shows throughout his career. Recognized internationally, Antonio currently develops activities as an international consultant in management and marketing of exhibitions and events with several companies engaged in the organization and participation in fairs and events. Antonio won the IAEE Chairman Award in the year 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Antonio Brito. Welcome you, sir.
Namaste. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here again. It's my first time in India, and we're going to talk a little bit. I know it's after lunch, it's not easy. No? I believe most of the people are tired after 2 days. You have a very, very good lunch today. So we need to wake up. What do you think? Huh? Can I ask you a favor? Can you stand up? Can you do it, please? Now, dance. Move it, move it. Move it. Wake up, wake up. Let's go. Thank you very much. Now you are better now? Are you sure? You will wake up now? So thank you very much for your cooperation. So, my name is Antonio Brito. I'm from Portugal. Maybe you know, I come from the country of the nice guy. It's called Cristiano Ronaldo, as you know. Unfortunately, you want to come with me, but yes, in holidays, and he cannot come. But send a big hug from all our friends from this conference. So, what we're going to talk today? As I told you, I work in exhibition industry since 30 years. I am a guy from the exhibition industry. I have passion for what we do. In fact, we are people, we are special people. And one of the things usually do it is to talk about, and today we're going to talk about audits and certified audits. It's not a boring subject. We're trying to don't do it, but it is very important to talk about this. Credibility, transparency, it's some of the things very important in our industry. But before we start, I would like to show you a short video to begin, and the people wake up again, if you don't mind. Then this will be the subject of our conversation.
Once upon a time, business as usual was often good enough. No more. Where we are going, good enough is dead. In a world where everything is connected, where everything is equally excellent, where performance is reaching perfection, there's only one space left to innovate in: you. Right now, you are a central point in the raging tornado of change fueled by digitization, mobilization, augmentation, disintermediation, automation. Well, the list goes on. Science fiction is becoming science fact. Think about self-driving cars or computers that can learn and think. The way we work will never be the same. The skills we need will be dramatically different. Winning or losing are now happening faster than ever before. So what's your response? How will you discover new opportunities in one of the most transformational times in human history? Are you driving change, or are you being driven by it? Disruption has become the new normal. With change, it's always gradually, then suddenly, well, things really have stopped happening gradually. This change is exponential. Everything that used to be dumb and disconnected is now wired and intelligent. Cars, cities, ports, farms, even our bodies will be wired with sensors and will talk to each other. These game changers are also combinatorial. They amplify each other, creating a perfect storm of change. Quantum computing fuels big data. The Internet of Things fuels artificial intelligence and deep learning, which fuels robotics. However, anything that cannot be digitized or automated will become extremely valuable. Human-only traits such as creativity, imagination, intuition, emotion, and ethics will be even more important in the future, because machines are very good at simulating, but not at being. Yes, robots and software will do some of our work, but this will allow us to focus on things that cannot be automated. To imagine change squared, you've got to start engaging more with what might be, not just with what is. Immerse yourself in the immediate future, 5 to 7 years out from today. We need to go beyond technology and data to reach human insights and wisdom. Technology represents the how of change, but humans represent the why. The future is about holistic business model. The opportunity is to be liquid, to learn just in time, not just in case, not single improvements, but complete transformations, not individual systems, but new ecosystems. Humanity is where true and lasting value is created. We will engage, relate, and buy things because of the experiences they provide, because of their transformative power. The future doesn't just happen, the future gets happened. The new way to work is to embrace technology, but not to become it. The future is in technology, yet the bigger future lies in transcending it. Let's live and lead from here.
I'm sorry. Okay. I was showing this kind of video because I believe this is some we talk all the yesterday and today. You know we are in the age of technology, disruption, vulnerability, everything is changed every day. But the only thing we expect never change is you. You, and you. We as human beings, of course the technology is going to help us, but the basic things, as Kai said yesterday, still are the most important. And we as human beings, we are making the difference, and we need to make the difference. Don't forget, our business is a relationship. So all the tools you can get for all the world can help us to develop our skills. But never, never replace what you think about and what you do. And talking about simple things, one of the other things I would like to share with you, and talking about the importance to audit and certify our trade shows, you need to understand we have more than 32,000 exhibitions over the world. Every year. It moves more than 4.5 million of exhibitors and more for 300 million of visitors. We're talking about people. We are responsible for people. So the question is, why the exhibitors and the visitors come to your exhibition? We have a lot of exhibitions. In fact, there are several things it's important to know, and I would like to share with you. Remember, first one, Data is the new oil. All the information you can collect are very important for our business. To understand our exhibitor needs, to understand our attendees' needs, to understand what the people are looking for, it's very important. Now we are in a world of 5G, as you know. Technology is working every day, and it's only based in information. If you have data, you control the market. Data is everything. As I told you, we are not longer in the exhibitors industry. This morning we talked about square meters and versus attendees, and I am agree with this. In fact, we are now much more in the attendees business than in exhibitors business. Without attendees, we have no shows. In the past, the people thinking, okay, it's nice, you have exhibitors because they pay the bill, but if you don't know what your attendee, what your visitor needs, you can provide a very good exhibition. But if you know, and if you got the information, data, got information about what your attendees needs, you can provide them the best exhibitor. So, information, data, relationship is the strengths and the traits for our industry. One of the studies you researched did before from CERN, you can see why the exhibitors come to the trade shows. Two simple answers. 85% of responders say attendance quality. What they want is people who have capability to do, have decision, power decision, and people who can buy, not quantity, quality. And 54% response said the favorable ROI, return on investment, the famous return on investment, is the most important indicator from the participants. So remember, we are talking about information. We are talking about data. One of the things, in my opinion, and as I'm working as a certified auditor a long time ago with the different exhibitions, sometimes the exhibition organizers are afraid to show what is the figures of the trade show because don't understand. We need to be transparent, and the people believes only in the people we are transparent. In fact, don't be afraid with your numbers, with your figures, with the number of exhibitors, the number of square meters, number of the visitors, but be afraid if your client, your customer, don't believe in you. And you know you have a long stories because mostly, or some of exhibitors sometimes lying and tell you have thousands, millions of visitors, and everybody knows it's not true. So the idea is to be reliable. The people need to trust in what we do. Let me show this picture because this is very interesting. I bring this because last week I was in Mexico City, in Santa Fe, in the country of our good friend Gonzalo, and I was auditing one of the biggest shows, the China Home Life. It's organized by a Chinese company, Marriott, one of our clients, and this is very interesting when you have in the main entrance this screen in real time tell you how many visitors check in, how many visitors go inside, how many requests for proposals you did it. Remember, we talk about technology. Technology do this, but we need us to provide this kind of information. And in real time, you have all this information. We have no problems to tell to the people we don't need to invent it, nothing, because it's in real time. Every second, you update information. So this is something I feel, in my opinion, with 30 years working in the exhibition industry, very important and very reliable. Quality comes from demographics data. Who is coming, not how many are coming. Figures, numbers are important, but it's much more important for each one of you to know what kind of people comes. If you are presidents from the companies, if they are CEOs, what the power buyer they have it, this kind of data, it's very important for us. We live for information. I remember when I did it, the CM a long time ago, I had a teacher, unfortunately, usually it was my mentor, Bob Delmeyer from United States, and one of the things he told me, when a trade show finish, the only two things stay with you. Your good or bad reputation and the database. The other things was gone. And it's fact. So database is the heart of our industry. What do the participants value in your company? Credibility, trust, precise information, transparency, of course, business opportunities and networking. And in only one word, experience. This is the people we are looking for. We probably can talk a lot about this. During those days, we talk about the new challenger we have with the millennials, with the new people who come to the industry, with the people who come to the exhibitions. But this is what the people are looking for. And we need to provide this kind of information. And this is the reason because we have more than 2,000 years. You know? We have reference in the Bible, 600 years before Christ, talking about trades, talking about business, talking about the people meet each other to make business. And this is the reason we do. Of course, we evaluate, we update what we did it, and now we are provide much more service, much more quality to our market. Because the only thing we do is put the buyers in front of the sellers. This is what we do. So we need the people trust in us, and the people need to make business. How to ensure your information is reliable? What I recommend, and I know it's most of the companies do it every year, and as Kai said yesterday, more than 1,000 companies do it every year, is what I usually say, certify audits. Remember Peter Drucker when they said, if cannot be measured, it cannot be managed. And if you have figures, if you have something, it's transparency. If you provide the right information to your customers, the people will come and will come to your exhibition. What is a certified audit? A certified audit is a simple thing. It's an independent data validation by a third party or third certified party. In fact, you as exhibition organizer, you have your information. You have your data. You have your numbers. But sometimes the participants don't believe in us. So what we need to do is to provide independent opinions, independent certified audits to the people, understand what you say is completely true. And assure the quality of your show. What is the benefits to do it in an audited and certified fair? We have several benefits. In fact, to assure the numbers you provide are the right numbers, to have a full understanding of the quality of the event, to provide an analytic evaluation to increase exhibitors and visibility, Use one of the important things is the document, the certification you get as a marketing tool, because I told you as my experience as auditor, mostly of the trade shows do it certified auditors, but don't use the information. And remember, data is a power. So if you have a document, provide a certificate, provide from the auditor, independent auditor, you need to use this as information for your exhibitors and your attendees. And tell to the people in your marketing tools you have, social media, information you provide to all the people, this is my real numbers and it is audited. This is provide credibility, and this brings the people because the people are going to trust in you. Of course, ensure the participants' return on investment, and you can get a quality stand. Of course, this is what you use. There are several processes to audit the trade shows, but well-known, it's WUFI. WUFI have some standards and provide the WUFI International approved event and approved event. We're going to talk this a little bit later. How to conduct a certified audit? It's a process, and the process is first to call for an independent auditor. The second is to meet the standards criterions. We cannot compare potatoes with water. You need to compare from the same potatoes with potatoes. So you need some standards. So you need some rules. And independent of the audit process, you have different standards and you accomplish these kind of standards. And measure and validate the data on site. This is one of the things important. Usually the auditor comes to the trade show to check all the information was provided before from the exhibition organizer, to see in fact if the registration process is electronic or is manual, if they works or not works, if they control the entrance from the visitors, if they control the repeat visitors in different days, if all the exhibitors was provided from the exhibition organizer comes to the trade show or not. It's not important for us if they pay or not pay. They are exhibitors and they have special areas. You have conference rooms. This will be part for our exhibition and we can audit it. And of course, at the end, to issue the audit certificate. The figures we do it. Figures of the exhibitors, number of exhibitors, national and international. Usually direct exhibitors. Numbers of visitors. Visitors, national and international. And there are some models, but we are talking about the real people who come based in the registration process and the registration system you have in each own trade show, and we check the registration process. We don't need to check, of course, each one, but we check the process and the process is reliable or no. This is some of the standards. The occupied area, surface, square meters, not only for the exhibitors, but also from some special areas. If you have a conference room and during a trade show, be part of the exhibition. You can imagine you are at a trade show outside and you have a conference room here. When we audit it, we can consider this kind of area. There are some details, but we can consider this as a surface, a total surface from your exhibition. And of course, demographic information. Demographic information is some we can provide. It is not necessary to have the certified audit, but we can provide, and this is what you are looking for, information about your attendees, who they are, where they come, what they need, what they are looking for, and this is kind of information very useful for you. And is certified. This is real. So this is the reason because we do this on site. some samples, You know, you have different, different certificates. UFI, it's a well-known, UFI approved event, and UFI international approved event. The only difference, if you are a domestic exhibition or you are international exhibition. To consider as international, you needed to have at least 10% of your exhibitors international and 5% of your attendees. If not, you can be approved, of course, but not as international. You have another entity as like IEIA in the United States. He also do it some certifications. And also have another one, it's a stamp of quality, is IEIA certified exhibitor. This is a process because what we do it's to check the process of your exhibition, and you can, of course, achieve the stamp and be recognized as a certified exhibition. So the important here is to understand how much is important to talk about basic things. Remember, one of the trends, Kai said, the basic things, the simple things, still are the most important. Like you, like us. People still are the most important we have in our industry. So, some of our companies, we work a long time ago, like in Spain, like in China, like in Latin America, like in TAC Warsaw Expo, as our dear friend Janeta talked about today in Poland. In China, Mariant, they organize 13 trade shows over the world. So it's some of our clients. But the most important, and I would like to say you the magic word to close, to finish, is what this guy said. Charles Darwin said one day, it is not the strongest of the species that survives. In fact, neither the most intelligent. It's the people who have capacity to respond for the change. We are in a changing world every day. So think about how important is the basic things. Think how important is to be reliable. Think how important is to be transparent. And of course, change what you need to change. Thank you very much. I will also. You want to dance again?
Thank you very much, Mr. Brito, and I would like to request you to be on stage with us for just a minute more, and I would like to now request and invite on stage Mr. Joe Denegi, Vice President for UBREF, to kindly join us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Joe Denegi, Vice President UBREF and Brazilian Trade Association, to felicitate our speaker. Thank you very much for joining us at the Open Seminar 2019. Thank you. Now we are leading into the next panel discussion lined up for the day. The panel is going to be, thank you very much. The panel is going to be talking about moving forward with technology being the center of all the discussion here. And the panel will be moderated by Mr. Ravi Kiran, Friends of Ambition. Mr. Kiran is CEO and founder for Friends of Ambition, Venture Nursery, and FOA GrowTech Managing Partner, Fair Act Exhibitions Events. In his last corporate management role as the regional CEO, Ravi Kiran managed the Southeast and South Asian region for Chicago headquartered Starcom Media West Group, the world's largest media network. Now he helps the startups as angel investor and business model mentor, and mid-sized companies as agility and innovation coach. Please welcome our moderator for the session, Mr. Ravi Kiran. Welcome you. He will be moderating our session, and now I would like to introduce you all to the presenters and speakers for this session. Please welcome Mr. Atul Todi, co-founder and CEO 10 Times. Mr. Atul Todi is a technopreneur implementing numbers of path-breaking technology initiatives and is known for his relentless pursuit of excellence. He founded 10 times world's leading business event discovery and networking platform used by over 40 million professionals. On a mission to connect opportunities 10 times, leverages technology to bring together the right people at the right time and place during trade shows and conferences. Welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us next on the panel is Chenappa Naidu Darapaneni, founder and CEO for Mera Events. He is a dreamer, one who knows how to convert them into implementable ideas. Having identified a need in the events industry, he started Versant Online Solutions, the mother of Mera Events, which has several other sibling products. Under his stewardship, Mera Events began taking rapid strides into its journey and with big tickets deals in its kitty. Welcome you, sir. Moving forward to introduce our next presenter for this session, the panelists for this session, please welcome Mr. Sricharan Atluri on stage. He's the Managing Director for Highbrow. Mr. Atluri is a young dynamic entrepreneur, started Highbrow, India's maiden pro AV company in the year 2007 with operations in major cities in India, and envisions to grow his venture to a pan-India expertise enterprise in the next few years. Please welcome Mr. Atluri. Welcome you on the panel. And lastly, joining us on this panel is Zubin Gu, founder and CEO, We Meet and Chair, IEIA Asia Council. He is a serial entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in the technology and MICE industries. He is the founder, CEO of We Meet, the world's first global service network for international business, travelers, and MICE industry. Mr. Gu also founded Sino Plus Advisory, a leading advisory focusing on the internationalization of China's MICE industry. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our illustrious panel that is going to take forward the discussion of technology with events, exhibitions, and seminars. Please take it forward. I would leave it to our moderator to start the talk now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are we still energetic or? Thank you very much. So this is a great opportunity for all of us to share with you the views of the panelists. As many of you may be aware, the whole world is changing in ways that we have never seen before. And one of the biggest discussions happening when it comes to business models is how old world product-led businesses are being replaced in their value creation abilities by what we now call platform models. And it's fascinating that today we sit here discussing the application of technology in the world's oldest platform business, which is your business, the exhibitions and trade shows, right? We got a fantastic panel here. As you can see, most of them are younger than me. So we'll have a good chance to talk about technology in depth. We got people that represent platforms. We got people that represent products. We have people from consumer space, and we have people from B2B space. Now, when I think of platforms, if one of the first and the biggest requirement for a platform operator is to deliver what we call interactions. Whether it is digital platforms like Amazon and LinkedIn and Facebook, or whether it is physical platforms such as yours and malls and other retail opportunities, we essentially facilitate interactions between people, right? Now those interactions lead to two things. Some interactions begin new relationships or cement old ones, and some begin transactions. And you do both as a platform yourself. Now, if you think about it, at the core of delivering relationships and transactions is what many people have referred here, which is experiences. So the conversation is no longer only about how many people came, but what they experienced, what they took away with them, and what they retained. It is no longer about whether they will come back again only. It's about will they advocate and will they bring somebody else with them. So out of all the things technology can possibly do in your business, such as enhancing quality, delivering a superior experience, maybe to some people delivering superior productivity, better process automation, and delivering experience, this panel has chosen to focus on how technology can be used to deliver superior experiences to your customers. That means exhibitors and visitors. So without any further delay from my side, I'd like to throw the question to the panel by beginning to ask each one of them, what is in the recent past, let's say in the last couple of years, what's the change you have noticed when relating to technology and trade shows that has personally touched you or has impressed you?
Yeah. So the first and foremost important thing is the education of your customer, right? The biggest challenge when I came back from US to India and trying to do a business of event ticketing or event promotions marketing, the biggest challenge initially I was facing is the education to the user, the customer itself. So for example, one of our customers is actually in the room. 7 years back, I went and met that customer who was doing 100% offline business. Then I tried to educate the customer, say, why don't you give me give me an opportunity to show you how the technology can transform the value. And yes, customer said yes, because there is no upfront cost to you. Let me show and prove you that, Then that same customer today, I've seen over year and year, 100% growth in the last 5 to 6 years. And if I go back to the same customer today, he says, why not you do 100% through technology or majority of the business through technology? Because over the period of 5 or 6 years, he could able to gain that the time saving or the money or the overall value addition what he's able to do. But it's a long journey, right? 5 years, 6 years, you have to constantly educate the customer, make sure the customer understands it. That finally translates to the experience to the end user, right? So that is the challenge which I see in it, that education is there, that openness is there, but you need to put little longer time or more efforts in making that happen, is what I believe is what is the change I observed in the industry.
Gu, what change have you seen from your perspective?
From my perspective, I would say it's mainly from outside of India. It's my first time being here. But being in this industry long enough, I would say in the past few years, the biggest change to our industry is actually on the visitor side, on the buyer side. The way visitors or buyers, the decision-making process of whether they will go to a show, how do they even end up getting to a show? How do they really communicate with other professionals in the industry? That has been dramatically changed by one of the very common change globally, which is mobile technology. So mobile technology has changed the way people do live and work. But related to our industry, right? Mobile technology has changed visitors' behavior dramatically. But unfortunately, globally, I would say globally, only certain areas, exhibitors and organizers are changing following that trend. So globally, I would say what's not changing is organizer are not changing enough to follow that trend. So I can share a lot more later on. So it's mobile technology made the biggest change.
Before I move to Charan, I want to differentiate two things about technology. When we normally say technology, most of us immediately think of ICT, information and communication technology, and we think of softwares and hardware and other things, right? Charan here is particularly important to this group because he represents what we call now entertainment technology that can be used inside a show or inside a booth. So I'd love to hear his point of view on how you have seen change in the last few years.
Yeah, thanks, Ravi. So I'm an AV guy. So from an audiovisual perspective, AV has been a very active element of the events space. Similarly, on the exhibitions front, in fact, I'm so glad to walk through these exhibition booths and see large video displays. 5 years back, putting up an LED display itself was a big thing, but every second stall now has a very large format HD display. So in a similar way, it is important that the exhibitors engage their visitors. So there are a lot of technologies now that have come in, right from projection mapping to augmented reality, virtual reality, depending on, again, whether it is a B2C exhibition or a B2B exhibition. Maybe they can have the VR lens to show the factory and the premises, and they can't expect 10,000 footfalls to visit their factory, which is probably in some remote location. So these are opportunities of how a technology like a virtual reality can be used to give a much bigger and better picture. I have some videos I've asked the team there to play, so that will give you a perspective of how the exhibition space is also changing with elements like holographic projection. Middle of the air, you see an engaging logo and an engaging element. So that certainly attracts people to move towards that stall. And like Ravi said, it's more about engagements that we have to create. So these are the various technologies, Ravi. I believe AR, VR, holographic projection, projection mapping are the new things.
Can we play the gentleman's video he left with you?
Yeah, it can play in the background. I'm sure you guys can see. Atul, you can go on.
We all really want to see the video, though. But it's very interesting because everyone on the panel has actually got a very different perspective, because we all start at different parts of the journey of the event. Like, you know, for, like he was talking about like on-site experience, while Mr. Naidu, he's more into like the whole technology across board, and where Mr. Gu was coming from was the whole visitor. But I'd like to sort of add my experience in the last 5 years, just backing what Mr. Gu was saying. One is the mobile, but I think what has happened with data and availability and information, it's a true sign of a real democracy. People want more information, and it's easy to get information. What I'm seeing changing is people's mindset of, like, you know, you cannot keep your data to yourself. It is out there. People are looking for it. They'll come and find it. So if you try to keep the data, more people look for it. So it's rather how the data is, or information is disseminating across board, and the influence it's happening is amazing, because you're seeing almost 1 billion people. If I'm talking globally, we're talking about 1 billion people who's going to be joining workforce or have recently joined. You know, while we're talking about 300 million odd people going to events, but I think there's a huge opportunity that the event space has to drive a wave of fresh breath to this whole space. And those people are not going to be sitting and like waiting. They are looking out, and I'm seeing that as like, you know, with the whole experience on the platform.
Fantastic. So what we're going to do now is, for most parts of the rest of the discussion, let's focus on 3 kinds of stakeholders here. Organizers, and we'll talk about what organizers can potentially do. Exhibitors, and love to hear your perspective eventually on what exhibitors currently do and they can do. And whether visitors and how they're evolving and what is their adoption of technology today is and is likely to be. So if I may ask you, Chenappa, how would you rate, from your perspective, having handled many consumer-led, consumer-focused events, massive ones such as IPL finals and many conferences, how do you rate the adoption of technology by the conference and consumer event show organizers today?
Yeah, so certain part of the, especially the technology in the consumer events which are massive scale, for example, the one which is recently concluded, which is IPL, they as a company, I mean as an association decided that 100% of the ticketing, the entire process would go only online. Because the reason was there was almost 500,000 people were trying to buy only 30,000 tickets which are available online, and there was almost at any point of time there were 20,000 people on the website to buy it. So the only way they can't able to sell it offline, so they kind of depending on that, right? Similarly, some of these shows which yesterday I was actually attending one of the thing, which was not there even 1 year the opportunity before, right? A lot of millennials are attending. There is a live PUBG live game. There was 11,000 teams were shortlisted to 16 teams, and they were playing the live PUBG game, and there was at least 5,000 people were watching that on live. So the things are changing, the technology, and there the adoption in the conferencing is much better than what at least I've seen in the exhibition industry. But moving forward, because the number of one of the largest one, we manage the Indian Mobile Congress exhibition where almost 50,000 people comes. now I'm seeing that the same what happened in the conferencing business, right? The engagement, maybe the adoption of the technology, definitely going to go more in the exhibition industry, and that would definitely change the game of the business, and more revenue, more engagement, leads to the better business.
While on that topic, can you give an example of what conference organizers are doing that potentially can be emulated or replicated in the exhibition business?
See, today what I'm seeing it, especially the bigger conference guys or bigger event guys, what is happening is now the information has to flow multiple locations, multiple places. There is a website, there is a mobile, there is an on-site registration, there is an exhibitor. So there are a lot of stakeholders and the information has to flow in, right? Somebody booked online, now I have a mobile app that automatically that data has to sync in. Then the same has to go to the registration area, right? So what I've seen it at least is they're depending on a player who can able to give that end-to-end solution and make sure there is no discrepancy in the information, right? So which is very, very good thing, like, you're able to provide the solution at one shot, one provider without any miscommunication of the data. And which can lead to other technologies to engagement and, QR code, which like happened here. But this can be an interactive QR code so people can share the information if they don't have the business cards. So all these technologies has to be integrated. Otherwise, if it is disconnected, then the challenge is having technology doesn't work. Right? So here I have a QR code, but it doesn't work because I can't get the information because it is a disconnected situation. Probably a registration system could be different from online on-site and versus mobile app.
We'll come back to that bit later on what can be done. Atul, going back to you, and I remember in one of our conversations we spoke about the seamlessness of experience for the visitor before the show, during the show, and after. Can you throw a little bit of light on how today either organizers or visitors are using that technology to have an experience, either using your platform or otherwise?
So, just talking from the seamlessness, like, pre, during, post, connecting them is firstly very important, right? Because like Mr. Naidu was saying, but this information is lying on different places. So how you connect it is very difficult. So that's where I think our perspective comes in, because what we believe is that, let's say if we are, as a platform, a starting point. So think very similar to like a Zomato, right? Your food discovery started there. But then you're obviously also ordering and you're in the restaurant, you can actually see the menu, which is now digital. You can actually see what's popular, what's not popular, and then post that, once you've ordered your food, you also give your review. So similar thing we are emulating or we're seeing on the platform, where a user who finds the show on the platform is engaging. He wants to see who else is coming, so he wants to make sure he's making a right decision on this. Does this show actually meet what I want? Once he's done with that, he wants to see, okay, what are the exhibitors? Can I set up a meeting? Can I ask for a brochure in advance? Like, can I get prepared? When he's on the site, he wants to see other people who've checked in. The exhibitors are actually logging in just to see who else is there, to drive more people to their booth, right? And then post-show, you follow up. I mean, and in this whole chain, right, there's a lot of networking, a lot of sharing across platform. So if we as a platform think that we're going to control everything on our platform, we are highly mistaken. Because people from our platform too are sharing on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and which is perfectly fine. You can't control that. You got to make it easy. So our only purpose when we see is, how do you make the journey for the user extremely easy? Where the more barriers you remove, the better your stickiness or your user adoption is. So I think that's the same philosophy that can be adopted on ground by the organizers.
So staying on that point for a minute, let's take a particular show. Yeah. Let's say 100 visitors registered through your platform for a show. How many of the 100 today are doing things on the platform or otherwise that's known to you, other than just registering? For example, how many are trying to fix appointments? How many are, like you said, are requesting material? How many are socializing by sending stuff out into social channels? Do you have some percentages?
I think the number varies across various parameters, like geography, obviously that makes a big difference, how people are active in certain countries and not. But let's just talk about the actions, So what we see is 1 out of 6 people actually trying to connect with someone else. Just because out of curiosity, we are a starting point, right? People want to see who else is going. Because we all know conversion rate is 10 to 20%, right? So the more we can do to increase that touch point is actually good because your conversion rates go up. So that's first thing, like 1 out of 6 people, 7 people would like to connect. But what is interesting is how many people are asking other previous users for feedback. And that is something that we see starting off now, where people are like, okay, you know, I'm interested in going, but can I ask someone about what kind of stalls were there? Or what kind of people, especially people who are visiting from outside. It might not be as strong in India yet, because we don't have so many people coming in from outside, but globally we are seeing that happen a lot more, where people are traveling across countries to actually be at a show. So,
Gu, from a standpoint of using mobile device and mobile technology, what's the current status?
So allow me to give you 2 examples. So very recently, actually only announced a few days ago, one show called Design Shanghai. It is organized by a British company called Media 10. The company, they organize many shows in UK. About 7 years ago, they went to Shanghai. They say the economy is developing, people want to buy better stuff, so want to do a design show. So a few days ago, this Design Shanghai, it only took about 3 to 4 years time for this show to become a top 5 design show around the whole world. A few days ago, the show was acquired by Clarence, another UK organizer. So what did really happen, right? So this show is actually aggressively, they actually catch the moment. In China, the social app, WeChat, they basically went through a whole process. They are so lucky, they made every single step right, from utilizing mobile WeChat marketing to WeChat registration. When WeChat Pay turns on, they allow people to pay the entry ticket. The show is a B2B2C show. So people, this show fully utilized mobile, especially WeChat technology, completely reinvented the process of registration, from the marketing to registration to payment. Even, I think I remember at the year 4 or 5, 3 or 4, a gentleman who was actually here yesterday, Mike Dine, he is organizer. By the way, he is on the way to Mumbai. If who is ever is from Mumbai there, someone who just sold a design show in Shanghai is coming to your city to visit. So he said, why do I still want people to queue up for hours, minutes, right? For get a badge, like a badge. So we had an aggressive discussion saying, in the end, we agreed on, as his kind of advisor and a friend and also partner, to get rid of completely visitor badge. But for management purposes and other things, we kept a badge for exhibitors. What this really means, because they have nearly 99% of European exhibitors coming to Shanghai, finding wholesalers or distributors of high-end design product. Also, they sell some to collectors. So they say badges are no longer required. So I checked before I got on stage. It's like people here in India. You buy a movie ticket, you don't need that piece of paper. You just go there, sit down, enjoy 4 hours of the experience. So also I was in Hong Kong moderating an event. Many event industry event, like one of us, sometimes you still use a picture of people lining up. But guys, I'm seriously, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, that is bad experience. Thousands of people fly to your destination, fly to your venue. You want to make sure they get into the booth ASAP, right? To spend time to get business done. Instead of you queue them up for 1 hour, check their passport for some of the jewelry show, then you say, I want to make sure you're safe. They should be meeting their buyers and sellers. So mobile technology finally are enabling that to happen. So I was also very happy to hear PayTM is also reinventing people's way of paying. So that kind of change will definitely come to India.
Charan, before moving on to what we can do immediately, what have you noticed when it comes to in-booth or at show application of Pro AV or other technologies like AR and VR and other things. What's the status today?
Ravi, before we go on the site of what are the things that we can do, like some of the video stuff that you have seen, I would like to touch upon the point of the millennials. So today we are representing the largest, youngest population in the world. And I believe most of the exhibitors are targeting the millennials and the young population to attend. So what are these guys looking for? So like one of the speakers have mentioned, so they are not the ones who are concerned about spending money or traveling. They are most concerned about their time. So for their time, they would want experiences, engaging experiences. They are the Instagram age and TikTok. So they will want as many engaging moments as possible, those once-in-a-lifetime experiences that can be created at the venues, alongside the business and the interaction and the trade that is given. So once that element is created, like Auto Show still continues to be the only single largest trade show in India. So why do people, the young population, why do they make an effort to come all the way and spend so much time and understand something? Even the customers are getting as much value out of it. Because these guys are multiplying their experiences out in the digital world. So this is something I believe not just the exhibitors, the marketing managers are the ones who should think. The problem in India, what is happening is right now they are just bothered about getting the booth space. They are not planning.
Do you mean marketing managers of exhibiting companies or organizers?
Of the exhibiting companies.
All right.
Yeah. So they are just about planning their budgets for buying the space. They are not planning ahead in terms of what is the engaging experience that they can create and what is a recall that they would want to have. Right. So if they plan to that level of a detail and then plan the experience, so this is a chicken and egg story. So right. Unless they start creating this, the footfalls won't come and the returns for all the parties will not happen.
Just stay on the point of millennials. I want to go back to both Chanapa as well as Atul, because they also deal with a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of them are young people as well. Have you seen any differential expectation or behavior of millennials who use your platform?
So one of the area what I've seen it personally, right, unless there is an engagement, somehow you need to motivate them to engage, right? Because they are also distracted with multiple things. They are always on the mobile, right? So, but what I realize is why not you turn the same mobile and convert into an engagement tool, right? And one of the feature or one of the area which one of our product has is the gamification. Any activity, everything, asking a question in an event, answering a poll, liking a comment or doing some activity, any activity you make as a points or convert to a gamification process. And end of the engagement is start happening little more better because they need some engagement way, and they're also on mobile, the traction time is less. Probably use the same thing and convert them to the way you wanted and gather the information.
While we don't have an organizer on the panel, you're probably the one who deals with or faces organizers quite often. Is the current profile of visitors a millennial profile, or is that sometime in the future?
I would say the percent is quite small right now. But again, the question is who is to blame, right? But the question is who is to blame. Sorry, being a little controversial. I think we've not done a great job of driving more younger people to the shows yet. Fine, sure, I agree that they're not as valuable right now because they're not running big businesses, they don't have deep pockets. But the question is, if you don't nurture the crowd, who's going to come the next year and next to next year? So we'd rather be ahead of the curve by focusing on them and making sure that you actually have a special thought process for how do you drive that younger generation to the event and not think against it. We are too concerned about, okay, we only want the manufacturers or very specific, high designation, C-level people. But are we really seeding our own future? So yes, the percent of millennium is still small compared to other geographies that I'm seeing organically. But the percent that we have, their behavior is different. For the older generation, you'll still want them to they want a call, or they're more, you have to feed them. Instead of the younger millennium, they're more proactive, they're more engaged. They constantly want some touch point, but on their own. So you can't really like expect them to, you can't call them 20 times, you know. For the younger generation, you can still call them and...
One of the things I keep hearing from a lot of organizers when I meet them is that unlike the West, Americas or Europe, the percentage of total footfall in a show who have actually registered before is very, very small in India. Do you think that's got to do with something to do with technology friendliness, age, like millennial versus oldies, or what is the thing? Why do so few people do not want to register before the show?
I think there is no one answer. It's a changing behavior because it's also our approach, right? I mean, are we proactively opening up ourselves for these users to register? Are we giving them some sort of an incentive to register? Are you allowing them to sort of pre-network and see who else is coming? Because, I mean, I need a reason. Like in Western countries, if you are pre-registering, one is because, you know, I mean, I know that my queue is going to be shorter. I can just show my QR code and walk in, or it's a lot simpler. But more than that, there is some benefits associated with pre-registering. So I don't think we have, I don't think we are concerned enough to increase.
Who is we?
So if I'm looking at the organizers, okay. I mean, I'm not sure how much we care if the person is pre-registered versus on-site. Because we have not tried to monetize the users, or you can say the event journey. So the event to us is just those 3 days. But technically speaking, you can start monetizing the event 1 month in advance.
And so one of the reasons I'm asking this is that we talk about experience. And one of the first moments of truth when you walk into a show is that you have to stand in queue to collect your badge if you haven't pre-registered, right? So shouldn't that be like an easy pick to remove the need for lines and encourage people to register
I think every organizer agrees to it. They are working on it. So I would not say that people are not. They are working on it. It's just that, you know, you have to sort of make it simpler, and there has to be a reason.
Right. Sorry, Go, you have a point of view on this.
Yeah, I do want to add on to that. Even I'm no longer doing registration and my business. But I have been doing that in China and Southeast Asia for 12 years. So especially for China, the key measurement of a pre-registration rate dramatically increased from an average about 5 to 10%. I would say the professional events in China, say about 10,000 events a year, within the top 1,000 shows, trade shows I'm talking about. I think the average pre-registration rate is already at a rate about 30 to 50%. For the shows I used to manage when I was managing InfoSalons, we had an average of a rate 50 to 80%. Design Shanghai, 90% plus. I think there are two sides. Organizer. The organizer's point of view, when a market is still developing, when the organizer simply need enough people to fill up the show floor, when they don't care about what visitor, they only care about enough number of visitors, people, they're not motivated to invest, to implement, to force that will happen. They don't care the quality of visitor. That number shows if there's a chance they survive, but normally that kind of show will die. But on the visitor side, that is very important. So I'll give you an example. China Fish. This is the currently number 2 largest seafood show. Has been organizing in Qingdao. So they started from free registration. Everyone can come. Then they say, when they see the show is getting better, they start to charge. This is before mobile comes. They charged about $. If you pre-register, you pay $7 US. If you're on site, you pay double the amount. So when mobile comes in, they actually doubled both. They actually did something very specific. Even when you arrive on site, you can still enjoy half of the price by using mobile to pay. That will reduce the queue. So they use multiple effort, try to get rid of the low quality or useless people they call random people. They don't want them because exhibitors don't want it. So I think it takes time for the organizer to really realize who you're really dealing with. But the adoption of mobile technology at the same time will reduce the cost of implementing those procedures. So it's a few things in one to be considered, especially for Indian market that is going to go through a extremely high-speed growth. This is going to be very useful for you to see.
I just want to share some information. Basically, when we look at the registration process who pre-registered, and there is a percentage close to 2 to 3% of the people who already paid online before they don't show up to the event. So that is also an additional revenue to the event organizer, which could have been increased further down. Sometimes due to whatever the reason they do it and they don't come on. But whereas somebody is coming on the way to the event, okay, I can do it at the last minute, the price is same, there is no benefit to the customer or the user, there is no motivation for him to do that registration. So you always consider that, as like other panel said, if you can make the difference pricing, like how airlines or other industries are playing, there should be a difference pricing at the spot versus pre-registration.
We talk about pricing, I think, in a different forum. But while we have time, I just want to touch upon two quick things. One is, when you look at the next, let's say, 9 to 12 months, I'm asking particularly folks in India, I mean those three of you, what easy picks do you find in the area of technology compared to what is being done today that organizers can do, that's immediately available and immediately doable? That's not happening today, particularly at scale. Any thoughts, Atul?
What can be done in the next 1 year, what we are seeing? So, I mean, what you're saying is what is most adoptable by organizers? I think there is a lot. I mean, we can start at we don't need to get into details of big data and AI and everything. They're very simple things. I mean, even just proper aggregation of feedback and using that as content online. I mean, so simple, but I don't think anyone does it. Not enough. I mean, why not? I mean, people are doing TikTok and 1 billion people are dancing to videos. But we are not asking our users, hey, can you give me 30 seconds of a video snippet which I can use as a testimonial at my shows? I mean, we're not encouraging users to create enough content to share. I mean, yes, we assume they are a little older audience, but I think there's enough young people and enough people willing to share.
Is that so? I thought a lot of organizers routinely take feedback either as at the exit or inside the show floor. All the time.
But they don't think of it as content. I mean, that a lot of it is just for for running numbers and figuring out what's going on, what's good, what's bad.
You're saying but not just how they collect the data, but how they use it?
Yeah, I mean, or just make it easy for users to share it.
Easy for user to give feedback.
You have to encourage them. You have to give them a reason to just sort of write a snippet and share it. And why can't they make a little clip in their booth as an exhibitor? Hey, we had a great time. Because you don't know how this data is going to percolate and spread and bring people back and how they're going to tag you.
Charan, what can be done easily?
Yeah. Ravi, I would like to change from entertainment technology to engaging technologies. So engaging technologies like the ones AR, VR, and some level of holographic projection. And these kind of things are certainly going to be seen in the exhibition spaces in the
I'll come back to that in a while, because that, I think, has a slightly different spin. I'll come back to you. Chinappa, what can be done immediately and easily? Let's say in the next 1 year.
Yeah, I think the first and foremost thing is, at least, it is not about the number. I think it is the quality of the audience, what the visitors for your event. So unless you put that basic information and start putting some kind of analytics, right? Understanding what is my user group or my age group, or where is the region people are coming, at least the basic information, and analyzing the data so that 80% of your users are this kind of a category. Why don't you give more focus? And if your exhibitors wants a different audience, maybe you need to start concentrating on it. So start analyzing the data, because the key is all about the data, and start analyzing with a simple analytics tool with basic information, and then integrate that with the sharing of the information.
My last question to the panel before we open for Q&A. If you have to think of a game changer technology that may be already changing the game elsewhere, but not applied here, or still in the laboratory stage that can be applied, and that may still be, let's say, year or two ahead of us. One word or one phrase, in your view, what would that technology be
for the trade shows in India?
See, last 2 years, if you see, why we are able to use mobile is all about internet and the smartphone technology, right? So I'm expecting the 5G should make some game changer in the next year or so.
All right, if you're doing a B2C show, try TikTok. Do you mind if I ask the audience, our audience in the room, if you're on TikTok, please raise your hand. TikTok. All right, that's Mexico. Okay, 2. You can see, if you don't know what TikTok is, you should look into it for a B2C show. But for a B2B show.
How many know what TikTok is? Right, that's an answer.
All right, see, that's a trend. You should look into it. TikTok, they just recently launched some marketing for brands in this country. But for the B2B show, business social relationship. How many of you actually got to know this event? Instead of from IEIA, but from other friends? From Facebook, from WhatsApp, maybe from WeChat, like what I did? So business social relationship is the next gold after data. Currently, people try to grab data, in your hand, not to give it you. But social relationship, especially over mobile, at a business environment, is gonna be changing our industry. There's so much to share, but I'll leave it.
Charan, one game changer.
Yeah, I would think it's, far-fetched you are talking about, right? Robotics and artificial intelligence, there's a lot of things that are happening in that space. So it's going to be a while, but that will be the next thing.
Usage of robotics in trade shows?
Yeah, as well.
Got it. Atul?
So I'm not going to talk about too far-fetched, but I'm just talking about something I'm seeing happening and which should be adopted, is a lot more organizers, just talking about their digital marketing frame and how they're doing it, retargeting has become extremely interesting.
Retargeting as a part of
like
pre-show marketing?
Because with the whole GDPR, databases are out. People have moved from how they see marketing. Like TikTok is an example because again, content and how that spreads, you might have less control, but more reach. Similarly, a lot more retargeting. It could be a content, it could be...
Do you want to take a quick 30-second explaining a case of how retargeting may work for trade shows?
So retargeting is if someone's looking for a trade show or any specific product, right? Now you can, let's say they land on 10 times, they were looking for a plastic trade show or anything in that industry. Now you can retarget them with a cookie for next 5 years, right? You can target them across the web, no matter where they go. Across TikTok, across Instagram, Facebook, Google, any search page they're doing. So I think retargeting works a lot better because there is already a layer of filtering that this guy is interested and relevant to you. So I'm seeing a shift from hoardings and databases, especially in European countries as well, where they are looking at more of these channels.
Got it. Thank you. So we have 4 minutes to go. We'll open this to the audience for any questions. We may be able to take maximum 2 questions. So just raise your hand, a mic will go to you, and then you can ask your question and you can point to which of the panelists your question is directed at. Can you have a mic there, please? State your name and who you want to ask the question.
I'm Robin. I'll ask the question, the third gentleman. About business social relationship. That's a very interesting concept that you spoke about. Do you intentionally drive it in any way? And if there's an example where you could spot this, that you have done it in the past or seen it somewhere, or is it just driven on its own?
All right, it's a very good question. Thank you very much. So in the past, organizers actually tried really hard to find out between visitor or buyers, exhibitors or sellers, who is talking to who. How can make them talk more? They try to do all kinds of things, matchmaking program, all kinds of things. But the more you try, you find out it's really hard. But currently, that business social relationship actually are migrating, are happening on the mobile social layer. So there are so many, every single business event are probably creating lots of exchange information over WhatsApp, WeChat, Instagram, and for young generations, TikTok. So we already know those social media companies are moving towards to building up a layer of application. I'll give you an example in China. Tencent. Tencent developed a thing called mini program, which allow every organizer to, instead of developing an app that not many people download, but they give you a QR code, you scan. By doing that, enabling, empowering organizers to know who is there. Number one, know who is there. At any second, they know who is there. Number two, they know a list of exhibitors or have a list of products are being scanned by a list of visitors. Business meeting are B2B created. So people are talking over a mini program, that's what they say, but it's a business social mobile platform. So this kind of technology is always coming up. So they always we talk about a term called, people know CRM, but now they call social CRM. They know who is following their official account, who is talking to do what. They actually know who is receive a page and spend 10 seconds or 2 seconds. So that kind of relationship is all coming up.
Any other question? If not, then there is an additional answer to Robin's question here.
One simple example I observed I wanted to do, especially with the exhibition industry, right? Say the event organizer, when he sign up with 100 exhibitors, every company has some basic social profiles and user followers. I've not seen many customers or many organizers, why not they create a small image or a video, whatever it is, and then tag them, that company, people. And if you do that, each company who is at least doing 10,000 followers versus 100 multiplied, the amount of reach what an organizer can get without spending any money itself is huge, which is part of the similar example where you're reaching not only through organizer, the exhibitors and other influencers like speakers and other part of the ecosystem players.
Let me to give one example about a specific question. For your trade shows, within your industry, within your database, your attendees, you already know some of them are very powerful in terms of their social relationship. Give them a choice over WhatsApp or whatever. Give them say, hey guys, whoever can bring your colleagues and friends in the industry, I'm going to give you some kind of award. And make it a competition. Try it. It is the best event marketing vehicle you can ever use. Just try it.
Thank you very much. We run out of time. And I thank this lovely audience, including the single questioner. Thank you very much. And thanks all the panelists. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Ravi, for moderating that panel for all of us. And thank you, panelists, for sharing your thoughts with us. We would now like to invite Mr. Gurvinder Singh, Director, Exhibitions, EEPC India, to join us on stage to felicitate all our panelists for this session. Please put your hands together. Let's welcome Mr. Gurvinder Singh on stage. He has a long distance to walk up, so we can fill in the room with some applauses as we are heading on to the last session for the day, ladies and gentlemen. After this awaits is the final session for this conclave, and the session is what is on top of your mind. I would request Mr. Gurvinder Singh to felicitate our session moderator, Mr. Ravi Kiran, with a memento, thanking him for his time and moderating this session for us. Thank you very much. The next memento to Mr. Atul Todi, co-founder and CEO for 10 Times. Thank you for joining us on the talk and sharing your valuable insights. Next memento for Chinnappa Naidu Darapaneni, founder and CEO Mira Events. Thank you very much for joining us. Sri Charan Atluri, Managing Director, Highbrow. Thank you for joining us. And lastly, Zibin Gu, founder and CEO, We Meet and Chair, IEIA Asia Council. Thank you very much for joining all of you gentlemen and filling the room with the talks concerning technology, challenges and solutions. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much once again. Lined up next is the last and final panel for the day, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of the most elite panels. It caters to a wide range of speakers who bring with them varied experiences, and they will be sharing what is on the top of their mind while planning an exhibition event of trade fair. I would now like to introduce you to our session moderator, Mr. Ravindra Sethi, who is Managing Director for R.E. Rogers India Private Limited. Mr. Sethi is a seasoned industry professional, a go-getter, and master of his trade, networking and relationship building in his forte. An avid traveler, he does not miss any of the international industry event, ladies and gentlemen. He is featured on the board of he is featured on the boards of many international industry associations and passionately promotes India to the world. He is also currently serving as the Vice President of Indian Exhibition Industry Association. Please put your hands together and welcome on stage our session moderator, Mr. Ravindra Sethi. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce you all to our panelists for the session. Joining us on the panel is Mr. Balwinder S. Sahni, Assistant Secretary General for FICCI, with over 2 decades of rich experience in managing large-scale events, largely B2B events, corporate affairs, government representation, and new business acquisitions. He has strong and well-proven evidence of skills in liaising and coordinating with various central and state government authorities, bureaucrats, and politicians with extensive hands-on experience in public relations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Balwinder S. Sahni. Joining us next is Mr. Baiju Nanu, Director for Pavilions and Interiors India Private Limited. Mr. Nanu is a well-known name in the realm of exhibition designs and fabrication. He has led his organization Pavilions and Interiors to become a leader in the industry, delivering creative design solutions for trade shows and stalls since 1972, and he has also evolved to cater to sectors like retail, interiors, and museums. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Baiju Nanu. Welcome you, sir. Joining us next is Mr. Rajan Sharma, Managing Director for Interads India Private Limited. Rajan Sharma is the Director of Interads Exhibitions Private Limited, Conferences and Exhibitions. It is one of the leading exhibitions and conferences organizing company in India. He belongs to a family of professionals who have been actively involved in communication businesses since almost 5 decades. Welcome you, Mr. Rajan Sharma. Please allow me to invite on the panel Mr. Raj Manik, Managing Director and member of the board, Messe Frankfurt Asia Holdings. Mr. Raj Manik is well-known leader in the exhibition industry, has over 2 decades of rich experience in leadership roles, building trade fairs and organizations. Yep. Is credited for establishing Messe Frankfurt India as a formidable trade fairs organizer, which is innovation-focused, customer-centric, service-oriented, and reliable. Please welcome Mr. Raj Manik. Inviting on the panel next, Mr. Sudeep Sarkar, CEO for India Expo Mart Limited. He is a seasoned professional with nearly 25 years of experience in the MICE sector. He specializes in marketing, brand building, and positioning India as the next biggest MICE destination. Ladies and gentlemen, he is credited with building India Expo Center and Mart into a formidable brand and a leading MICE venue in Asia. Please welcome Mr. Sudeep Sarkar. Joining us next on panel is Mr. Shirish S. Kulkarni, Director, Orient Marine Lines Private Limited. He is a well-known personality in the exhibition industry, has over 3 decades of experience leading his logistics business in India and specializing in exhibition logistics. He is reputed for his professionalism, proactive approach in offering on-time quality and service. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Shirish S. Kulkarni.
Yay!
And lastly, joining us on this very elite and eminent panel is Mr. Thomas Schlitt, Managing Director for Messe Dusseldorf India Private Limited. After an assignment as Director Sales Promotion at the German Electrical and Electronic Manufacturers Association, where he built strong fundamentals in order to facilitate international and local companies to tap trade opportunities through exhibitions, he joined Messe München. Subsequently, a Nuremberg Messe in his area of responsibility comprised the setting up and steering of its representative offices worldwide and the foundation of its subsidiary in Austria, Italy, North America, and India. Welcome you, Mr. Schlitt. Also, we would like to request and invite Mr. Ashwini Pandey, Managing Director for Cohen Messe Wire Trade Affairs Private Limited, to kindly join us on the panel. Welcome you, sir. So we have our speakers on stage, we have our moderator ready. Let's steer this talk concerning what's on top of your mind.
Thank you
Please
very
take
much.
a seat, gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored and I'm humbled by such an esteemed gentleman. This is the industry. Please take a seat. We'll go straight on. Time has always been a constraint. Just one or two small comments. Unfortunately, Varinder Gupta from CII, he had pre-alerted me yesterday. He couldn't make it. He had some very genuine reasons for not being here. He sends his sincere apologies, but not in that context in any way. You know, a little maybe a mix-up. We realized that somebody very experienced was here with us also. So at the very last minute, we thought we'd get Ashwini also to share his views with us. Now, you know, the subject is very simple, isn't it? If all of you have seen, it's what's on top of your mind. You know, we've got so much going on. 2 days we've had, I mean, amazing what we have got in just about 48 hours. And here, you know, we've got India's leading associations, one of our flag bearers of the industry carrying our cause. We've got leading organizers, both from the Indian side, with Rajan, and from the international side, all very eminent. Düsseldorf, Frankfurt, and Cologne. From the venue side, I'm saying venue sides, not as a host, we have Sudeep. From the service providers side, one of the most experienced persons in India, Biju, who all of you know very well. And from the freight forwarders, and is my dear friend, colleague, and competitor, but dear friend, Sirish. So we've got the whole industry over here. So I'm going to go straight off to save time. Balwinder Singh Sani, what's on top of your mind?
I would like to thank IEIA for organizing this open seminar. You have been doing it over the years. It's getting better every time. And happy to understand, you know, in the deliberations which have happened in the last 2 days, specifically the sector-specific associations which were represented and recognized for the role they have been playing. And I would like to assure you that FICCI is standing always with you, your association, to do networking at the highest level to take forward the agenda. And I would also like to mention, as we speak, I'm happy to announce that our Honorable PM has just, did the first Niti Aayog meeting, and he has announced 5 trillion economy in the next 5 years by 2024. If India is going to achieve 5 trillion, imagine the growth exhibition industry is going to have. So people sitting around here should have something to cheer about today. So let's start our day in a very positive note. That, 5 trillion is a very ambitious and good target for, so our industry is definitely going to grow, and FICCI will support all the initiatives of all the stakeholders. So we are with you.
Okay, I'm hearing that FICCI, and MCI is not here, will now take the lead role in being our networking partner with government. Is that correct?
Definitely, we will be with you in front of for meetings with Commerce Ministry, Finance Ministry, or state governments. Because we want now Tier 2, Tier 3 cities to come up. If we have to grow like China did, we need to reach out to Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
Right. Okay. But yesterday, Commerce Secretary came and we had a great positive response from him. He was going to support policy, he is going to direct policy, everything. And IEIA is going to be very strongly following it up. So are you willing to say that for the entire industry, beyond, of course, FICCI as an organizer, you will be with us?
Always
okay.
Always with you.
So that's on top of his mind, and I think that's a great statement. And let's hope, and I'm certain he will follow it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to start off on a positive note, and we'll be keeping a tab on you. I'll go straight from this very positive commitment And I'll go straight into our bread and butter, which starts from organizers, and it's in between with the organizers, and it ends with organizers. A very, very esteemed set of panelists over here. Please don't misunderstand if you see 3 German multinationals over here. It was not intentional in any way or form, but they're eminent personalities in the trade. Now, when I said multinational, sitting amidst these multinational giants is my dear friend Rajan Sharma, who's the managing director of Interad's 75-year-old company now. We all remember his father, Dr. Vishwanathan. You know, he was one of our institutions of the time. An Indian company at that time, 75 years. Rajan, you've done a lot of joint ventures. You know, okay, I don't want to use any Me Too words, but you've been around with a lot of players, but always as an Indian company, right? But with so much excitement happening, maybe a lot of checks floating around, a lot of multiples going haywire. Bhupinder had a thought on that. What's on top of your mind on that side?
Well, first and foremost, I guess, like everybody else here as Indians, I'm a very proud Indian. I'm a very proud Indian. And as an Indian company, my dad started way back in 50s. And I remember him telling all of us as a family that, you know, you should concentrate on your marathon. Don't get impressed by somebody else's sprint. I think that vision that we had from him stays with us. So as Interads, as an Indian company, we've had multiple joint ventures with multiple MNCs from around the world. As I'm sitting here, we'll be signing 2 more. Next week, we'll be announcing. So we continue to be an Indian company and with multinational partners, multiple partnerships carrying on. And as Balvinder said just now, that India is a happening country. It's a country where the world was looking and now the world is coming. So when the world is coming, obviously our multinational friends and fraternity will also come to India. And as I tell my partners and my friends from our partnerships that when in Rome, be like Romans. So when you guys come here, then you respect the Indian culture, you respect the Indian entrepreneurship, and we as Indian have to respect your brand, because when you handle somebody's brand, there is expectation value. So there has to be a growth in the brand. So that's why they want to see the brand is enhanced. So that's our responsibility as a joint venture partner.
Okay, so I can see the direction I'm talking about, not your company, but there are some other Indian companies also.
Sorry?
I said there are some other Indian companies also who are on the same wavelength, who will want to continue. I know we heard Jaraman, not on this aspect, but he's also in that league, and some others, pardon me for not mentioning. So I can see where you would like to continue on a macro level, right? Yes. Well, we've heard some nice things about the macro aspect, and that's obvious. Right? We all know that, right? Let's get a bit into the nitty-gritties, right? And let's get into the more specifics. And we've had a nice chat with, I've had a nice chat with Thomas and Raj about something which I tell you was news to me as well. So Thomas, since you're sitting near me, would you like to kick off? But I would like both of you to interact also, and right? So why don't you start off in the few things which you said? Yeah.
What is on top of my mind?
No. Are you hearing him all right? Okay.
We heard very interesting lectures over the 2 days, and the most interesting point, which we are discussing at Messe Düsseldorf, not only here in India but also worldwide, is digitization. What does that mean for a trade fair company? What does that mean for our trade fairs? We like to encourage companies to present their machines, to be more interesting for the visitors and delegates. But having this lecture yesterday of Future World in mind with augmented reality, and for us the question is simple: how will our exhibitors, how will they present their products in the future? Will they come with a lot of machinery, or will they just have holograms? If that will be the case, and I guess that will be the case, then of course the size of the booths will shrink. We have somehow to balance the loss of the square meters. How to do that? So I would say we have to encourage exhibitors to do even more for networking, for discussion, for discussing, for knowledge transfer within their booths to balance somehow the loss of those square meters. And yeah, that is on top of my mind when we are discussing about trade fairs having a lot of machinery on display.
Right. Before going, just to recap quickly, so we're all on the same page. Digitalization is a great word. Organizers are doing it. Phenomenal. Every place you go, digitalization. Organizers are doing it. But once the exhibitors start doing it extensively, organizers and freight forwarders run the risks that they will decrease the size of their participations because they can achieve more through digitalization by spending less space. So that's the take, but we'll come back to that later. I want to come to that tricky one to you, Raj. Okay, do you agree with that, Raj?
No, yes, I agree. Look, we talked about digitalization yesterday. We talked about technology yesterday and today also. The fact is we look at our industry, but our industry is what we control. Our customers are not our industry, and how quickly they move forward with technology, how quickly they move forward with the new phases, we have to keep up with. And it will have an impact, it's just how we deal with it.
Right.
Every downside has an opportunity, and it's how quickly we can pick up on the opportunity of what they're looking for and adapt our exhibitions to meet their needs is where we will make up the difference between what we lose and what we gain on the other side.
Okay, good. Your second point, and then we'll pick it up, and I'll pick your brains on that, Ashwin. The cloning and going into?
Yeah, a further point which is in head of my mind is how will the Indian exhibition industry develop? Yesterday we heard how the Indian economy will grow until 2030. So we have growth prospects for the exhibition industry here in India. That does mean, as India is such a big market, we have to clone our events, so we have to go to south, to east. There's a question, we need venues availability over there. But on the other side, I see also the need of consolidation. At present, we are in a situation that events and trade fair companies are mushrooming, so to speak, because you see that all with the acquisitions over the last couple of months. The exhibition industry is considered as an industry with very high profitability, so everybody like to enter into that market. And that means for some of the topics you have much too much events on the same topic in one city. And that, of course, is a negative impact on the exhibition industry because there's then no credibility of the single events.
Okay, to recap, and I'm going to come to you, Ashwini, for your comments. It's now, the way the growth and everything is happening with shows, it's no longer going to be do 1 year in Delhi and 1 year in Bombay. We need to start going into the, Allahabads and the Jaipurs, and because of the product. And I know that you're itching also to comment on this. Ashwini, would you agree that today we need to look beyond just the metro cities and at a very fast pace? We need to start planning on that?
No, first of all, we have to build our show. If the show is strong, you can move in wherever you want to.
Good.
Unless you don't make the brand, it's very difficult for you to go to second and third tier of the cities.
Yeah.
And we also have to see what sector you're doing, where the concentration of the industries are based. So it's not that we have to move this to the tier 2 or tier 3 cities just because we have a show. Yeah. I'm sorry, it will fail. So we have to see the concentration of the industry and where the industries or where visitors are based. So we have to see all these factors. And I think it will take another 5 to 10 years' time for us to move into the tier 2 or tier 3 cities.
Yeah, but you see, we've started talking about it. Yeah. We've started talking about it. It's no more about just the major metros. We've gone we've talked about just Jaipur and some of the few other places, but we are now really getting into the thing. 5-10 years, believe me, with the way our growth is happening, it'll be faster than that. This growth pattern, I know, now I talk to you as an organizer, please. What's your take on that? You, as FICCI also, you go into smaller areas? Yeah, the growth of the industry and where we are going into tier 2, tier 3 cities.
Yeah, as we see in FICCI, definitely all the metropolitans, lot of big events are happening. And now we have seen the growth in tier 2, like we have seen in Cochin, in Jaipur, in Pune, and we had just had PBD in Banaras this year, and a lot of people are doing now exhibitions in Agra, which will again spread. Goa has seen a couple of exhibitions, including Def Expo. So definitely it's going to, there is a way forward, but I fully agree with what Ashwini just mentioned, that definitely the potential, the visitors and the event size will matter. I fully agree.
Rajan, you've been a big city player right now. Anything you want to tell us now or a little later?
I don't think what Ashwini is saying is right, and with due respects, I'll tell you why. Because I will be announcing something next week on a very similar line. I cannot do it right now. It will be done next Wednesday. And it is with an international brand. It will be one of the biggest game changers, or one of the biggest ones that we are doing it with an international brand existing here and moving to a place which has logistic challenges. So it's ironical that I'm talking about it. I shouldn't be. But to answer your question very clearly, look, India is growing. In one breath, we say we are growing. Of course, we are growing. In one breath, we say we don't have the right venues. I remember Ravi and me used to go out to the UFI meetings, and the only thing we used to hear was, where are your guys' venues? And we would say, yeah, they're coming, they're coming. Oh, we heard that. We've been hearing that for years. Today, when ITPO is coming into a fantastic revamp, we have Dwarka coming in, fantastic connectivity. And so similarly in these tier 2 cities, or the one I'm launching is not even a tier 2 city, for instance. So it is, again, what you said, it depends on your product. I mean, like if your product is viable for a market, then it has to go there. Otherwise, it becomes a bloody raincoat on a desert. It doesn't work.
Just to add, Rajan, let's say if we have to do a seafood show, of course it has to be in the coastal area. We have to go to Cochin. We can't do it in Delhi. You will fail. So that's what I said, is the product has to be according to the market requirement.
Yeah, but the time figure that you're talking about, 5 to 10 years, I could be wrong. But I think the way, it's like once you test the market in a particular format and become successful, everybody follows that.
Yeah, that's
right.
And that is something which we will
Mushrooming of
start.
the show.
Yeah, and it's going to be much faster. India is on a roll at the moment. I mean, like, it's just going to grow.
I think what Thomas started off, there was a caveat already which he did not mention. It's obvious that you will be going to the second tier, third tier city when your brand is already well established and there are visitors there. You won't go to experiment out over there. So that is established, and I'm glad you just quantified what Thomas meant. And what Rajan is saying is that there could be sometimes other factors other than anything branding, maybe political pressures or whatever, which you may suddenly need to do something for into the second 2-tier city. And what Balwinder over here is saying is that this is also should be on your agenda when we speak to government, that, hey, we need to see all of India very soon. You said 5 to 10 years. You see, we're talking 5. That's when the second government will be, we're looking in a third government, so we've got to do now. Sudeep, I'm not going to let go of you, but please keep this in mind when we come to the venues. Second and 2 and 3rd tier cities might be more important than the metro tiers, but we'll come back to that later, right? Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for your inputs and the support. You have something which is bugging you, Raj. What's on top of your mind?
Well, there's something on top of my mind because I'm looking at India today and where it's going. We talk about the growth, we talk about the exhibition industry, how we're now getting into an organized structure. And I've been here for a long time, as you know, and I've covered many markets other than India. So I've been around the industry for a long time, and then something new that's just happening. So when I first came to India, there were some players which were already organizers, but they were also venue owners.
Right.
Very acceptable. Yeah, so ITPO, we always knew was a venue organizer, was an exhibition organizer as well as a venue owner. Before IEML even came here, they were an organizer.
Organized. They were first
They were not a
organizers.
venue owner even then. The venue came afterwards.
ITPO,
What is
Bangalore.
on top of my mind at the moment is when an existing venue, any venue, suddenly from nothing wants to become an organizer, which is also fine, but it goes into segments which has been hosting at their venue as third-party organizers for many, many years. So this, if you talk about the exhibition industry, forget me as an organizer, but as an industry, because you could easily shrink your industry, because many organizers will say, well, I can't compete, okay? I cannot compete. So what you have is here an industry which is growing, an industry that I have seen develop in terms of quality in the shortest space of time than I have in any other market. So it's gone from, oh, it's an okay show to a really international show. You've got organizers who are from here as well as from abroad investing in the country, which is developing this industry and this economy according to the government's status.
Directives, yeah.
And then you have a situation in the country which could effectively shrink this industry. So what's on top of my mind is, what does an association like this do, or where is the code of conduct which we can work on, where we are running shows with complete integrity, where it could literally be taken from under you like this. This is what's on top of my mind.
You're putting me in the hot seat, right? Okay. I think it's very fair. We are talking about, it's a question of ethics, and we could be talking about it till the cows come home, but it's something which we cannot put under the carpet. At the time when we've got the UFIs and the IAEs and 32 global associations over here, it's time for us to start thinking beyond just our existing known, tangible, visible problems, right? And Raj and I, when we spoke a little earlier, I'll be honest with you, when you started talking, I was not really agreeing with you, but on hindsight, no, I think ethics and moral business standards is something which have to go beyond just a piece of paper, yes? We at the IEIA have been confronted, my president is here, believe me, we get one-to-one instances which come in, and I'll be honest with you, we have to say, hey, if it is a legal issue as an association, we can't do anything, which is true. However, we don't want to put it under the carpet. If we have to take it up, and I can assure you on behalf of all of us, we have spoken about it, not specifically about this instance. I can only say that yes, we will take it up further amongst ourselves and try and look for solutions from you, how to go about this. Don't forget, it's everybody's problem.
Look, competition is accepted and absolutely welcomed. Yeah?
Absolutely.
I'm not saying there is a law that stops them doing it. Of course, you cannot stop it. But actually, as an industry, if you want to talk about this industry medium to long term, you can either have what's happening today where everybody's flourishing. So the organizers are doing well, the service companies are doing well, the venues are doing well, and you're getting more and more shows into the country. Or you have a situation where you can see that actually I could bring something in, and very soon I could lose it just because I cannot compete with a free venue. Now, if you have this, you'll have a shrinkage in the industry.
Yeah, it will affect the industry. It will affect
it will affect the industry. So I'm not talking as Messe Frankfurt here. I'm talking to you, having seen and experienced many markets and many things, that this will have a shrinkage in the industry. If you want to just ignore it, you can. Things will evolve. Or you address it.
I can promise you that the IAA first internally will take it up, and you will get a response, even if the response is that we're in a fix, help us. But you will get a response, and the industry will get a response. And this is the time now we have to start looking at these aspects seriously. We can't just say, turn away and say, hey, hang on, you guys sort it out yourselves. Okay, legal aspects we can't get involved in. But point well taken and appreciated.
I just make one point, the reason why it has an impact in India as opposed to other countries. Because in India, currently, we have limited choice in venues.
Absolutely.
If you have unlimited choice in venues, it's okay.
I got you.
Yeah, the strongest one will win.
Got
But
you.
when you have limited or no choice, then you put the industry at a disadvantage.
Got you. Point well taken, right? The other thing on top of your mind, now let me put you in the hot seat. You've been here, you've seen all these plus things, happening over here. What's on top of your mind in terms of your next merger and acquisition?
I've drawn a blank. Every time that word, I don't know, it just draws a blank. I have no idea.
Raj Manik draws a blank on mergers and acquisitions. Yeah? So, thanks, Raj. Thanks a lot. Great so far. It's interesting, Sudeep. Okay, we won't come to this subject of, this is a unique and a very important subject which he's brought up. We should not take it lightly. But you're representing here venues on the whole. What's on top of your mind?
Yeah, hi, good evening, colleagues. We at India's Expo Center has pioneered certain venue-related or venue-specific logistic services for the organizers. And we provide those services to organizers. Therefore, we can monitor the quality and the price and the methodology that suits best to the industry and to that of the organizer. But the question or the top of the thing in my mind is, are we doing enough to attract large events? And if we have got those large events, what are we doing to retain those large events on a sustainable basis? That's always on the top of my mind. And another thing, as you have said rightly, I've said this earlier as well, there are a lot of other venues which are coming up in the close proximity in northern India. And I think the market size is going to, that's also at the top of my mind, is the market size is going to increase substantially. And we all have good market share of those events. And again, while I'm referring to this, my point goes back on the round. What are we doing as a venue in terms of services to attract and retain those large events and bring in those large events to India? So that's always a tension point at the back of the mind, and that's how we position ourselves in the market in order to suit best to the organizer's need. And that's how we have, maybe with God's wish, we have got 5 large events that you have awarded yesterday out of the 7 at India Expo Center and Mart. And with your all cooperation, it will only increase over the time.
Anything else on top of your mind?
I have many, if you give me time.
One more.
One more?
Well, you talked about organizers should start, co-locating their shows.
Another thing that I have been seeing quite often at this venue is we have been fortunate that we have organized 33 small, medium to large events at this venue. And I've seen a lot of exhibitors and visitors coming in. There had been some specific fear in the mind, I'll be honest with Raj sir, is when LED show came in, and what was the visitor promotion that they undertook, and what kind of visitors would come in. It was there for a long time, but thankfully we had very good footfall during the event. It went off clearing with the photography show, with the Satya show, with the CPHI show, and slowly and steadily we have getting good number of visitors, or enough visitors, or more than the organizers' expectation at this venue. But one thing that I've seen is the exhibitors and the visitors are getting sensitive. If they can utilize their time in a very effective manner, then they are more satisfied with. That's an organizer survey, exhibitor survey that we have done, visitor survey also we have done. So maybe the call of the time is to co-locate the shows in terms of tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3, and have similar exhibitors and visitors to make the show large and attract a good number of visitors, since we can move and we can go to the large number of visitors and attract them to the venue. So this is another very intriguing thought that keeps coming to my mind, and I keep discussing with the organizer friends that these are the other shows that are happening, can we co-locate?
Okay, I think Sudeep in his very simple way is actually he's requesting the organizers, please speak to each other. Don't come to, I'm talking all the venues, not just this, please. All the venues, BIC, Pragati Maidan or High-Techs. Like, don't just say, well, hang on, you've got 2 halls full and the other 2 are there, so I'll take those 2 halls. Talk amongst each other. go through your, there is a synergy, even a slight energy, take advantage of putting them together so your footfalls increase, your revenues increase, your costs come down. The venue also can be more effective in terms of servicing all of you. I know it was very successfully done, very recently. Again, I'm just quoting this venue. I can see Sonia looking over there, where 4 shows, I won't name the shows, were held almost all together. And the big open area was like a common meeting ground for anyone. So if organizers can be more proactive amongst themselves to give an advantage to better venue utilization, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3.
Yeah, right. Okay.
That kind of shows can co-locate together.
Right, thank you. All great in this short period. We know we're well established, lots of things happening, lots of more exhibitions, lots of more venues. So what does this mean for the service providers? Srish, my dear friend, what's on top of your mind?
Yeah, as a service provider, we have to look at what are the problems faced by the organizers, what are the problems faced by the exhibitors, and solve them. This is our role as a service provider. Venue owners, they provide us certain facilities, organizers provide us certain opportunities, and exhibitors are our customers. We have to mix them all together. What is happening these days is, because of venues and events and other things, built-up and breakdown periods are shrinking. And this is causing a lot of problems in health, this thing, and how to address this issue. My request or my top of my mind is how we can meet together and resolve this issue so that nobody, either venue owner or an organizer or customer, do not feel pinch of it, and still it goes on smoothly. I can give you an example for this. You see, when for a venue, we decide a breakdown period of overnight or anything, let us sit down together and find out what are our exhibitors, what are they doing, and let service providers also contribute as to how they can build in shortest period and how they can break down in shortest period. That will be more useful. This is not what I want.
Right. Well said, Srish. We've had a session this morning. Ashish was moderating. Believe me, I let these feelings out at that stage. Health and safety, health and safety, health and safety. We will continue to do and talk about it at wherever forums we can.
No, I feel this can be addressed if we have a joint action plan
Yeah.
with organizers or venue owners and as well as stand builders and everybody together. So we can put it
I agree with you.
in a better way.
Right. As a fellow logistics man, yes, I agree with you. Probably one of our most seasoned and experienced gentlemen on this stage over here, Biju, as a service contractor. You've heard everyone, so much is going to be happening, and what's on top of your mind?
Yeah, I am completely in agreement with what Mr. Kulkarni said. Yes, we do face difficulties in, because of this shrinking setup and dismantling periods. That's a fact. Plus, I also want to draw your attention to the safety factor involved in this, and I would strongly feel that more attention should be paid to the aspect of safety.
Specific? Anything specific?
See, there is, if you talk about stand building, there is a question of structural safety, there is a question of electrical safety, and when the time is not enough, basically people tend to compromise on these factors, which is not good at all. Maybe at this point in time, maybe the providence, it's helping, but otherwise, this can lead to a major issue. So I would suggest that some things which are missing in our exhibition scenario should be introduced. See, one is that methodology statement, which is never asked for from the builders, stand builders like us, neither by the organizers nor by the venue owners. I strongly feel that this should be a standard practice. And the second thing is there should be safety audit, which also I don't see it happening. Maybe one
Yeah.
odd instance it is happening, but otherwise I'm not seeing it happening. But I feel that before it is too late, we should introduce this methodology statement, safety audits, and things like that into our, build-up scenario.
Well said. Well said. Sirish and Biju, thank you for, we are the two arms, sorry, I'm the moderator. You are the two arms of this industry for the organizers and the venues. And these points have been discussed many a times, right? It's time now to put it into action. Having said that, at least for my foreign guests over here, believe me, there are venues who are abiding by it. There are organizers who are abiding by it. So it's not all, it's not all gloomy. It's just that now when we're talking about going to the next level, we have to take these health, safety, and audit measures to the next level. Trust me, I don't want to name names, but there are. Privately, I can tell you who all are very, very much in the top of these lines. We've had a great session, and guess what? This session, the CEO conclave, which is the CEO, the head hogs, the people who really matter, who represent the whole industry, and it's just at the right time that we have one of our mentors, our chief guest for the valedictory session, somebody who we depend a lot on for guidance, for sometimes rapping our knuckles, but he was at one time the chairman of the ITPO. He still is the chairman of the ITPO. But today, he is first our friend and partner, along that being the chairman of the ITPO. Shri L.C. Goel, we welcome you, sir. Thank you. I come back to my distinguished panelists. A quick wrap-up. Yeah, Bali?
Yeah. Mr. Goel, welcome to you from all of us. Sir, I have one request to make, and I will also seek your suggestions. I am happy to announce that India has one of the biggest pavilions during Expo 2020, which is starting next year. And I request IEIA to do the next session in India Pavilion. And we will be happy to offer you this space, and which will be totally, FICCI is handling the entire Expo 2020 India Pavilion. And it will be good for all of us because 190 countries are participating. So that could be the game changer for all of us.
Okay, well taken. We will definitely discuss it. We love invitations for the cause of the industry, right? For the cause of, and I know I'm very much involved in Dubai 2020, where invitation is well taken. Gentlemen, thank you so much. A quick recap in 1 minute. Balwinder, thank you so much. FICCI, along with CII, are going to be our partners for networking and speaking to government. I appreciate that on behalf of the industry.
Definitely, sir, we are with you.
Thank you. My dear organizer friends, Rajan, you will continue as you are, along with some of the other Indian players. Remain what you are, but you will not ignore these great foreigners who are coming in. You will continue to do your mergers. Thomas and Raj, your points really well taken. You have gone, Thomas, into the future a bit more. You've started dissecting yourself a bit more. You're not just talking macro now. Your concerns, Raj, very well taken. It's time for ethics to be taken more seriously by us and not just put it below the carpet. Ashwini, thank you for all your inputs. You're such an experienced man. Just having you here is an honor. Well put, my dear Sudeep, on behalf of the industry, on behalf of all the venues, what you spoke, where we need to augment, the venues need to augment their service aspects. They want to bring in more. They want organizers to think more in terms of how best to get their venue utilization. My dear service provider partners, Suresh, trust me, we're on the same page day in, day out for what we do and what we need to do for the future. And Biju, as the last word, what you said, you keep stressing on quality. You've been doing it for, what, 40 years now, and it's so glad to see you that you're with the times and ahead of the times. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the next session, which will be starting. Our chief guest is here. And if there are any questions and answers, I would request we do it when my distinguished panelists mingle with all of you. I'm sure there's lots on your mind. I know Bhupinder had a few things he wanted to bring up. Bhupinder, we will leave that for later. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. Thank you very much, my esteemed panelists.
Thank you very much for putting up such a wonderful talk here. What an illustrious panel, ladies and gentlemen. With this, I would like to also invite on stage Ms. Sonia Parashar to join us to felicitate all our illustrious panelists for sharing their wisdom and thoughts with us.
Women power. Sonia didn't hear that.
Welcome you. So firstly, we would like to present our session moderator, Mr. Ravindra Sethi, with a memento. Thank you very much for joining us.
So I think Mr. Sethi did a great job with moderating,
Thank
but
you.
I hope all the panelists also got enough chance to talk.
They did, didn't they?
No.
For a change.
Absolutely.
You did, didn't you? All of you?
So one big applause for him, because I call him the international ambassador of the Indian exhibition industry. He's everywhere. So I think we have to give him a special applause because he's representing India everywhere. So I call him Mr. International Ambassador from India.
Thank you very much. You're very kind.
Thank you very much,
Am I getting a
Mr.
plaque
Sethi,
also, please?
Thank you for joining us on this panel. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Balvinder S. Sahni. We would like to present him with the next token of appreciation. Thank you for taking out time, joining us here on this very crucial topic concerning the events and exhibition space and scenario in the country. Thank you. The next memento to be presented to Mr. Baiju Nanu. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Please give it up for Mr. Rajan Sharma. Thank you for joining us on the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, the music should be your applauses. Please go on applauding. A very elite and eminent panel here on stage. Next memento is for Mr. Raj Manik. Up next, we would like to thank Mr. Sadeep Sarkar for joining us on this panel. Please put your hands together for Mr. Shirish S. Kulkarni. Thank you very much. We would now like to present the memento to Mr. Thomas Schlitt. Thank you for joining us on this panel. And lastly, to Mr. Ashwini Pandey. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for all our panelists. The last panel for the day, putting up a great talk before all of us. Thank you very much, our session moderator and rest of the speakers. Thank you. Thank you very much once again. With this, now we are moving on to one of the most crucial session for the day, ladies and gentlemen. It's the time that we have been graced by the humble presence of our chief guest for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. L.C. Goyal, Chairman and Managing Director for Indian Trade